So what are the secrets to living well longer, a lot longer? Well, we're starting to find out, because Canadian labs are part of an international effort to get to the bottom of how some people live to be 100. Now, there's some urgency to finding out the answers, because very soon there are going to be a lot of 100-year-olds. So much life ahead of them. So much more life ahead of them. Because 100 years ago, this boy could expect to live an average of about 52 years. Today, because of incredible advances in medicine and lifestyle, he'll likely live past 80. But here's the really mind-blowing thing. A third of the kids here are likely to live to 100. And yet science knows practically nothing about what it means to live that long.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, strong now.
So the search for answers is underway with people at the other end of life spectrum. Canadians like Alan Day, who at 92 can rightfully claim to hold the world record in the bench press for his age.
Concentrate to where you're bringing it down to.
Twice a week, along with his trainer, Gary Abbott, Alan hits his basement gym in Victoria to carefully lift almost his weight over his head.
Drive it up. Easy, very easy.
And then slowly bring it down to his mid-chest. And then the payoff for keeping his muscles strong over his many years.
Oh, well, I just love it. You know, it feels so good when I work out. And when you don't work out, you feel terrible, you know.
You've been lifting for 75 years.
Yes, yeah.
And what's your best bench press right now?
I think it has been 155 at home, but 143 in the competition.
And is there anybody else in the world who can bench press more than you right now?
No.
You're it.
Yeah, they're all gone now.
Well, you outlived them.
Yeah, I think that's it.
So what is it about Alan that someone half his age, or even a quarter, can learn? Well, obviously, staying active as we age pays off. There's a lot of existing science showing that strength training is one of the best things you can do. Keeping your bones strong and muscles toned keeps your spine strong, gives you a lot more energy, and lowers your stress. Alan also lives independently in a part of Canada where you can be outside most of the year. And he watches everything he eats, with a few supplements and vitamins. He still drives, except when he's enjoying a beer at the Legion Hall with his large group of family and friends, things which anecdotally should help him live longer. You and I are similar age. When you see him, what do you think?
Well, I wonder why he's got so much hair.
Do you think anybody, Alan, can be you? Like, can anybody accomplish what you've accomplished?
Maybe, I think it's mostly genes.
Alan's guess that some of us are simply lucky in winning a genetic lottery is being tested here at a lab at McMaster University in Hamilton. It's one of a number of universities across Canada engaged in a collection of data and samples from 51,000 Canadians. Dr. Parminda Raina is the lead investigator, and inside this tank are blood and urine samples that thousands of Canadians have provided that have been frozen. How cold is it in there with liquid nitrogen?
Minus 190.
Okay. So how many samples are in each one?
There are around 160,000 samples, and that's on average 42 samples per person. And over the next 20 years, we will be collecting close to 5 million samples here.
Wow. In all, more than 30,000 Canadians are providing samples every 3 years for 20 years, frozen in time, so scientists can later map the genetic changes as the subjects age.
It is one of the most comprehensive studies, not only in Canada, but around the globe. Why some people age in a healthy fashion and others don't. That's the prime driver behind this. There are people who have health-related issues. What is it that gets them on a downward trajectory. And how do we change that trajectory?
It's interesting because such great strides have been made in the longevity of life. But how people are living those 2 extra decades in some cases, we don't know much about.
Exactly, and I think that's where the focus is for our study and most of the research around the world, that it is not about living long, it is about having a healthy lifespan.
Hi.
Cindy Hamelick is one of Dr. Reyna's test subjects. Along with regular blood samples, she submits to a myriad of X-ray and ultrasound tests, hoping to help unlock the mystery of aging well.
I had a grandmother who lived to be over 100, and I'm hoping I'll be like her, but it's hard to know. And maybe having some of these tests done might actually encourage me to be a little more proactive about my own physical activity and mental activity as I get older.
After her samples are provided, they're cataloged and frozen in the chamber. So scientists 20 years from now will be able to examine what happened to her body as she aged. Not only that, the samples are matched with data about where she lives, her lifestyle and social habits, her economic and psychological status. Multiply that by the 30,000 other volunteers, and science will eventually have a much better understanding of where we live, how we live, and what we do with our lives helps us live longer. We're not going to know the answers to your research for a while. That's the nature of it.
And not only that, there are 2 groups of aging populations we have in our baby boomers who are a very different generation, and the current seniors. So for current seniors, we will probably start to know a lot more in 5 to 6 or 10 years. Whereas for the baby boomers who are at the late end of the baby boom push, we will probably not know what exactly their needs, health-related needs or social needs are for another 10, 15, 20 years.
That's just in time for you and me.
Exactly. That's why I'm studying this.
In other labs across the country, like the Institute on Aging and Lifelong Health at the University of Victoria, Dr. Paul Zare is also trying to measure the impact of exercise on aging and is already learning some remarkable things.
I mean, we all age as soon as we're born, really, and I think one of the biggest problems we have in our society and in thinking about aging is that lots of myths have sort of been allowed to grow and have actually infected the truth a lot of times on what really does happen in aging.
So, myth number 1, aging is a constant, steady decline in your ability. True?
It's true and false. It's true because your ability does decline as we get older. There's things that do happen, real biological processes that do slow us down, things like that. But the false part is that people think it's a real steady drop and that we can't change the slope of that line. How steep is the drop off? And that's critical here because, in fact, we can change the slope. And there's lots of evidence supporting that lots of things we can do will make that hill a little bit smaller or bigger, depending upon what we do, because we can do both ways on that.
Have people bought into a myth that I'm declining, I'm too old for exercise generally?
I think so. You see that all the time in the community or just interacting with folks or advice they might get from certain caregivers and so on that, oh, now that I'm 60, 70, 50, I shouldn't do those anymore. It's maybe not safe for me.
How old does it say you are in your driver's license?
92.
How old do you feel?
Yeah, I feel just anyone in their 60s couldn't feel any better, you know.
So you feel like you're in your 60s?
Well, health-wise, I feel so good.
There's a lot of debate in the scientific literature that chronological age is probably not the right indicator as people age.
Is that an important part of what this study should provide at the end of the day, that as some sort of assessment of what your true age is, not just what it says in your driver's license?
Right, and that's part of our goal. And there's some data on that can actually determine what the actual age of the person is rather than their chronological age. You need this type of data to be able to answer those types of questions.
A prime example of living her biological age is Sister Madonna Buter. The 86-year-old Catholic nun in Spokane, Washington, is the oldest woman ever to complete an Iron Man triathlon. And they don't call it an Ironman for nothing. The race kicks off with a 4-kilometer swim, followed by a 140K bike race, and ends with a marathon 42-kilometer run.
Madonna Buter, an 86-year-old nun. Oh, sorry, sister.
And not just once. She's completed at least 45 triathlons. When Nike found out about Sister Madonna, they made an ad about her that aired during the Olympics.
Wait, what? Iron Man? Oh, no. This is a bad idea, sister. A real bad idea.
Relax, she's the Iron Nun.
But she won't make it. This is an Iron Man.
The first 45 didn't kill me.
What's unique about being an athlete at the elite level in your 80s? Or is there anything unique? If you think
What's
about
unique is I never take prescription medicines.
Ah.
Don't believe in them. Aspirin will do just fine for the most part. When I break my bones, I've given all these prescriptions for pain medicine. Nope.
She also, as a result of her spiritual life, spends a good part of her day in calm reflection and helping others, always good for your health. And it was during one of her discussions with her priest that the suggestion was made she consider running. She was 48 at the time, took to it right away.
But he started to expound on the benefits of running. He said that if you run long enough, you'll have a peak experience. And I'm thinking, hey, Father, I think you're supposed to get that in prayer, aren't you? But he said that it harmonized mind, body, and soul. Well, that's the part that caught me. And I thought, well, yeah, I'm not a compartmentalized being, I'm a whole being.
You said in your mind you don't feel old. Do you even think about age?
When I do, that's the problem. That's
How? What happens?
Well, I start acting like it.
So you just ignore age.
That's probably the best thing to do, yeah.
How do you do that? Please tell me.
By being active. Get distracted. Get distracted from yourself. You know, depression is one of the major diseases today. And I attribute it to the fact, at least with myself, when I get too focused on myself, that's when things can start to feel gray instead of sunny.
People get fearful, or maybe they're made fearful by people who say, be careful. Your ligaments aren't what they once were. It sounds like you just didn't hear that.
No, because I never think of myself as being anything but my child. And we should never lose our child. That's the purest, most unadulterated, creative, active self you'll ever have. We get tarnished, and I've got a lot of scrap metal in me right now, and it's rotting, rusting, but the thing is to just keep moving.
That basically what it means is that you have a purpose, you have excitement. You're always looking for something new to take on or do. And I think that's what we are hoping to learn more and more. What are those things that we can make people get engaged with their communities, with themselves, their activities have a purpose, and that's the driver.
So much of it is attitude and your mind.
Yeah, body will change. It is going to change. We can't deny that. The question is, how do you manage it with your own attitude, your own perception of aging? Because part of it is some people feel they're getting old, even though they're not old. They might be 65 years old, and there are other people who are in their 80s, they think they're young.
Alan Day is, without a doubt, in the thinking young column, and he is determined to keep thinking that way to his final days.
Yeah, I'll never stop. After a workout, you feel, even if you aren't feeling very good before the workout, you'll always feel better afterwards. The way I feel, I've been going on forever, you know, because I feel so good all the time, yeah.
Sister Madonna also plans to continue blazing her trail, with more following it every year.
Now, 65-year-olds are very prominent in the Ironman distances. So it just takes one person to set the example, and others say, oh yeah, if she can do that, I can do that.
Members of an extraordinary generation who've relied on their instincts to live healthy and active lives well into their twilight years. But science will soon catch up to the pace that they've been setting. And with the help of hard data, this latest generation of Canadians will have all they need to know to live well to 100 and maybe beyond.